Hyundai sent us an Elantra hybrid to drive. Usually if someone asks me what type of small car to buy, I recommend a Toyota Corolla or Honda Civic, mainly because of their long reputation. But I have to admit, Hyundai's come a long way, and this is a very, very nice looking vehicle, far better looking than a Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla. Very sharp. Looks far more expensive than what it is, which is $22,000 for the base Elantra or $27,000 starting for the hybrid. We'll talk about prices in a minute. One of the first things we do when we get a vehicle is check and see what type of tires they're bringing. A lot of manufacturers putting cheap off brands on to save money. These are Hyundai, if I'm pronouncing that right. Not my favorite choice, but Next thing we want to do is check and see if there's a spare tire. Being a hybrid, probably not. Nope. Just a cheesy tire repair kit. But hey, there's a lot of storage under here though. Could probably fit a tire. Yes, you could. I don't know if the other versions of the Elantra come with a spare tire. You have to just lift up the floor and look. Only way you can tell, but if you buy a spare tire at the dealer, you got a place to put it anyway. I'm not taking any chances. I got my tire repair kit with all kinds of goodies in here, so I'm covered. And the third thing we do is take the headlights out in the dark and see how they perform and do some night driving. We already did that video and posted on YouTube. We'll have a link for that at the end of this video so you don't miss anything. So there's 2 videos to watch here, not 1. Let's take a peek under the hood. If you get the 22 grand base model, you get a 2-liter engine putting out 147 horsepower. Fuel economies rate 33 in city, 42 on the highway, which would be an average around 38 mpg. For a few extra bucks, there's a 1.6 liter turbo putting out 201 horsepower, rate 28 to 36 mpg, which would be an average around 32. On this hybrid for your 27 grand, you're getting a small 4-cylinder, 1.6 liter with an electric motor, total output 139 horsepower, instead of a CVT transmission hooked to a nice 6-speed automatic. Real gears, real transmission, thank you. Don't need any CVTs. And here's the claim fuel economy, 49 in the city, 52 on the highway, and 50 overall. Nice if you can get it. We're going to rack up some miles on this and get the real world fuel economy, both city and freeway driving. The real numbers, not the claimed ones. That's why you're watching my video instead of others, right? And since we have the price sticker, let's take a closer look at the actual cost and see where it's made. This is the limited model. That means it's supposed to be loaded with everything and no options. Here's some of what you're getting. And some more. And more. And more. And here's the cost, but they just had to have an option. $210 for carpeted floor mats. Come on, why did they do this? Should be standard. Here's the total fee. But here's the good news. It is 100% made in Korea, in a Korean factory with Korean parts by Korean workers, which means the quality is going to be top notch. That's worth a few bucks right there. This is a very nice looking cabin. Very sharp. Like the outside styling, looks more expensive than what it is. Get a decent sized glove box. A very simple, easy to use climate system. A few knobs, a few buttons. Heated seats, air conditioned seats. One of my biggest gripes with a lot of vehicles I've driven lately are their horrible, garbage air conditioning systems that do absolutely nothing to cool you off in extreme heat. Like today it's 107 degrees, but it's not a problem with the Elantra, which is actually one of the better air conditioning systems I've ever used. It is absolutely freezing in here with this set on low. And I love the fan. It'll blow you right out of your seat. Yeah, that's the way to do it. After that, the air-conditioned seats that work very well, freezing your butt off. As I said, this is one of the best systems I've used this year. They definitely did a good job on this climate system. I have no complaints whatsoever. The info screen and camera system is not the largest I've ever seen, but how big do you need, really? A stick shifter that can be shifted manually by moving this over to the left. Controls for the info screen. With the menu, you can also do touch screen as well as the buttons. A very nice gauge cluster with very little glare, thank you. Let's take this out in the freeway, get some fuel economy numbers. Here are the numbers we saw when we got the vehicle. 447 miles, just under 20 hours, 42.9 mpg. Let's start at 0 and take a highway trip. Try to put on at least around 120 miles. And the ride is surprisingly comfortable for such a small car. And now we got a nasty storm with strong winds that does, ooh, that was a nasty bump. That's not going to do much for fuel economy. Well, stand by, we'll see. Here you go. 122 miles, 42 mpg. Not bad considering the bad weather and the high winds. So 42.9 in the city for our previous number. 42.0 for the highway. We're in the low 40s, regardless of the driving conditions that appear. Just a note, hybrid vehicles don't like hot weather, and most of our driving was done in 100 degrees or above. So we took this out on a nice cool night in another location, around 85 degrees. Did a highway trip and got 51 mpg, going quicker than we should. But remember, this is not the norm. Unless you live in a mild climate like Hawaii, you're not likely to see these numbers. But it can be done. I'm very impressed with this engine electric motor setup. Even though there's not much horsepower, it pulls great at low RPM. And I'm having no problem climbing these steep grades in this mountain range here. Another reason this is enjoyable to drive is we get a real transmission, 6-speed automatic instead of a CVT, as I mentioned earlier. So it drives like a real car instead of that CVT droning you get with those type of transmissions, which are not easy to live with. I don't like them. Neither does anyone else, frankly. This isn't a sports car or a sports sedan, but it actually handles pretty good for an economy car. Very well balanced. So what's my take on this car after a week of driving? Well, I can say I do like the Elantra. It's a very nice vehicle. I have no complaints whatsoever, and I do like the hybrid version. No complaints about that either. But the question you have to ask is it worth the extra $5,000 to get the hybrid over the non-hybrid? And how long will it take for the fuel savings to pay for itself? I'm not going to bore you with all the numbers. I'll just tell I crunched them. And I figure you're going to have to drive 237,000 miles for the hybrid to pay for itself. In all fairness, I did not consider resale value in those numbers. Obviously, if you sold it when the car is reasonably new and still has warranty, you'll get some extra bucks out of it. On the other hand, if you wait till the 230,000 miles are up, I don't think you're going to get that much for it. By then, the hybrid battery will probably be dead or need to be replaced. So you can jiggle the numbers any way you want. And I was serving gas at $3.50 a gallon, by the way. But either one you get, they're nice cars. I got no complaints. Take your pick. Now coming up, our headlight test and night drive video. Here's the link. Click and watch. You're already here.